Over the last few years, I've done a lot of applying, and I think I lost track of how many times I had to redo my CV and I learned new thing and I figured out what works and what doesn't work. So I thought today I would share with you 5 things maybe you should fix on your CV if it's not already like this. Before we get started, I will just specify that I'm a software engineer and I've been working in the industry for the last 4 years, and so the advice that I'm gonna give is mostly for people that also work in tech or in software engineering, so it might be a little bit too technical, some of the advice. I still think a lot of it can be applied to basically any job, but just to specify, if you were looking for advice for other type of professions, this might not be the video for you. So I thought I would start with the number one mistake that I see, and something that I also think if you implement it, it's extremely impactful and really helps make your CV stand out. And I myself have been guilty of not doing it, especially when I first started and maybe didn't know about this and came with a very technical software engineering mindset. But you have to keep in mind that usually the first people that will see your CVs are not necessarily super tech people, and there will be HR people. And so what they want is to find someone for the company that will help make the business better. And for that, you have to speak in ways that they will understand, and you have to really show how the work you did in your previous experiences or previous projects really impacted the business and had tangible outcome, and not just, oh, I did this super technical advanced stuff, because to an HR person or a business person, this kind of means nothing. And I think it's very common when you sit down to write your CV and you go through your previous experience, you just start listing down all the tasks you're responsible for, all the projects you work on, the technologies you worked with, and things like that. But you're often missing out on explaining correctly what the work you did had as an impact on the business. And also, a lot of times, you're missing using actual metrics, actual numbers to quantify the work that you did. And I'm not saying you have to get rid of the technical part of the CV. I'm just saying you have to link that to the impact of the business. For instance, maybe you worked on building a pipeline or rebuilding the pipeline that existed. Great, you can still talk about the technical aspect, but then maybe add a little number or a little sentence that said, oh, maybe then after that the increase in speed for running the whole pipeline was 12%, whatever. Let it be actual numbers though, don't lie. But I'm saying you have to find a way to link the technical stuff that you did with then an impact that was felt for everyone on the project, and not just in the tech people area. And even if it's not big impact like that, speeding up processes, it can also be more numbers about the type of project or type of company you work for. So maybe you're responsible for a service or a part of a product, and then you can list how many users it had, so that then the recruiters, they will see, oh, maybe this is someone that worked on similar sized user base that we do, so then you're relevant for the projects. It can also be, especially if you're in data, it can be what type of data you worked on. Was it I don't know, images? Was it only text-based? Also, what size of data? Did you work with big data, or did you work with very small, almost data scientist level of data? All of those things are very important and will help you find a job that is looking for those actual things, and also it will make you stand out way more, because compared to all the other applicants that have no business numbers, no business impact on their CV, on yours, they will see, oh, this is someone that can do this for us. They've done it before, they can do it for us, and that's really important to any company. So this is a classic case of more is not always better. I see that very often in some of the CVs that I've reviewed also at my job. And it's people just listing off super long list of technos, and they just give you usually on the side of the CV, they have a part that's skills, and then they just list 20 technos, which first of all, except if you have 15 years of experience, most of those you've probably touched only a few times and you don't actually know them super well, so it's already a bit misleading to list them. And I think recruiters can tell, and that it's really hard to actually help them understand what you actually know well and what you're proficient in, which languages are your core ones. And probably also usually on job descriptions, they only list like maybe 4 or 5 max techno or like languages that you should know. And those are enough to have on your CV. Obviously, you should have a couple more, but I think it's very, very fine to tweak your CV depending on what you're applying for. Maybe, I don't know, you did a lot of like Python and a lot of, I don't know, Node.js, but you're applying to a specific position that only has Node.js, then you can kind of get rid of the Python or just like discard it to like less important parts of your CVs, so that again, when the recruiter sees your CV, they like only see key like languages that they also mentioned in the job description, and then you will stand out way more than someone who has listed 20 and then they don't really know which ones they actually know a lot of. And I think I would actually almost get rid of the like little part that's like listing all the technos that you are a master of, and I would just link them to actual experiences, because it's super relevant for them to know in which context you use which language, and it helps also them understand what do you mean when you say that you know that language, because obviously there are many different ways to use one language, especially something like Python. Maybe you used it for like data science project, and then it's a completely different type of mastering than if you used it on like back ends. Also, a little added tip, but I think I say that less often, but still, if you do it, please stop doing it. Don't specify what level you are in that specific language. Sometimes you see like bar charts of like expertise level. First of all, those are like not actual quantities, they're like made up, like you're estimating that you're somewhere on the expert scale, but there's no like standard way to do that. And also, I think usually it's perceived quite negatively, because if you have any that is like at the expert level, like they will always choose someone else than someone who's like mid-level at a language. So maybe your CV is already perfect and yet you never get any interviews. And one common issue that I see very often is maybe you did your CV on like Word or Photoshop or Canva or something that is not like specifically made for CV. And most companies, when you upload your CV, they run it through like an automatic system that basically extracts the key information, because they are not going to look at like every CV individually. They just want like a summary and like the highlight of what they should remember from every CV. And if you did this sort of like your own format, it might actually just not be super compatible with those like information extractor, and then you're not getting calls or not getting interviews, because when they run your CV through that, they miss like most of the information, and so you appear as like a completely different experience level than you are, or like a lot of languages are missing, a lot of experience is missing. And so it's very important when you're done with your CV, or even at the start, to run it through something called like ATS resume or CV checker. And it's basically similar to what they run on in companies, and then it will show you basically what information it extracts from your CV, and so you will know if it's working the right way, and then you will know what to fix. And I think even like a step before, you can use something like Flow CV to build your CV, and use like templates, and basically use websites that are already made to be compatible with all of those ATS services. And another like quick way is, already when you apply, very often you can have like an autofill option, and you upload your CV and then it autofills like your name, your experiences, education, stuff like that. And already if you see issues and you have to like manually enter those things, that means they're not correctly detected on your CV, and you know how to fix them. Okay, maybe this is a bit of a controversial one, because I know it's kind of the fun category to put on your CV, to put like your hobbies and interests, and like you think this is making you like stand out and you're showing a little bit of your personality. But I'm sorry to break it to you, but it's not really a category that's really read by recruiters. Like maybe it's just skimmed through, but it has no, at least in my experience and in all the recruitments I've been a part of, it kind of has no impact. If anything, this is something super interesting for later in the steps, when you get to like cultural fit interviews, when you like talk to the team and like get to know more people. But on a CV, they just want to know what you worked on, and if you have the technical skills that match what they're looking for. They don't really want to know if like you have the same hobbies as the rest of the company. And objectively speaking, they're a lot of time very bland, and kind of everyone has the same interests, because you're not gonna put your like most niche random interest. And a lot of people put like travel, which first of all kind of means nothing. Also, like most people like traveling, it's not like a real interest. Or like, I don't know, a sport or something that they think is like specific about them, but it's actually very common. And yeah, I think you can just get rid of it, and it makes your CV easier to read. And that's just something for you to discuss later when you get to know people during their interviews. But the recruiter doesn't really care about your hobbies, sorry. So that last advice is more relevant for younger people and people that have less work experience to put on their CV. But even if you have like no work experience, you still need to put some things on your CV, especially if you work in like computer science, software engineering. Usually during school or when you learn, you did a lot of projects, and if you have no work experience, it's fine to put some projects that you worked on, but they have to be real projects. And what I mean by that is that they need to be projects that are like deployed and not just like a GitHub repo that the recruiter has to check to see what your project is, because no one is going to do that. Like, they're not going to take the time for every candidate to look at their GitHub and like go in depth about the repo and like read the code that you wrote, which is such a waste of time. So if you've done a cool project, either like for school or on your spare time, please make it like an actual app or an actual website or something tangible that someone can check out in 2 minutes. And also because, like I mentioned earlier, recruiters and HR people are not necessarily super tech people. So if it's a GitHub repo, like what do they know on how to navigate that and how to read that and understand that? But if it's a website, they can just check it out and be like, oh, that's actually super cool. Actually, a little like personal experience, but my first internship that I got, I sort of got it thanks to a project like that I had. I made like my own website because I was doing freelance photography at the time, and I did like a portfolio website, and I kind of, because I was having fun doing web design and like using JavaScript to add like animations to my websites. And actually, because I did deploy the actual portfolio website and put it as like a project where I listed all the technos, I got that first internship thanks to that, because I had like tangible project that I could show, and they like talked to me about it in their interview. So really useful tip that I can say really helped me. And still on the topic of projects that you put on your CV, since maybe later in the like later steps you will talk to actual like tech software engineer people, they might actually go check out your GitHub and like check out the code of the project. So please remember to clean it up, to try to show in the code also your skill, that you don't just like push code. Especially now with AI, it's like really quick to ship something that you coded, but you need to also use that code part that might be read at some point later to show how well you know how to code and how you know like good principle of good like product working development. And you know, like clean code, you've added like comments, and you have readable code. That's usually also like something that can be useful. And actually this advice on project can also be applied to certifications. This is something that I see especially in students. A lot of students like to put, I don't know, certifications that they've done either at school or outside of school. But I have to be honest, if they're not like famous certifications, they mean nothing, because when I look at it on a CV and I don't know what the certification is, I don't really care to read about it, and I won't like look into what the certification is, especially for like very junior positions. And so only keep the certifications that are like from big names or like big titles and very easily like understandable and recognizable, because otherwise they're not really useful. And those were my 5 recommendations for your CV. I hope you got some useful value out of it. If you have other like lesser known tips or like small tips that you can share about CV, please drop them in the comments. I think we all have super valuable experience and like little things that we learned through all the applications that we did. And let me know if you have any further questions or things you'd want advice on regarding applications in general in the software engineering industry. And with that being said, I will see you in the next video.